So I'm sure everyone went through this phase where you would have this irrational fear of some random things that you're sure nobody else but you were afraid of, right? Like me, when I was a kid, I was terrified of certain video game commercials, videos with that gritty potato quality, and most importantly, movie logos. Now, I find it weirdly interesting that I wasn't the only one who would get fazed by these famous and iconic things that would show up before or after a movie. Because if you go online, you can find many top 10 videos of brave souls conquering their fears and talking about these horrific logos. But that's what today's video is all about. To celebrate my favorite holiday, being Halloween, I decided to rewatch some of my childhood classic home videos and DVDs that I cherished my whole life, which are pretty dusty because I haven't touched them in a long time. And, oh lord, not only did it make me feel old, but I also felt very depressed as well because I'll never get to experience the feeling of going to a Blockbuster, Target, or Best Buy to pick up a random DVD off the shelf and being so excited to pop it in the DVD player and watch it 24/7. Even to this day, I still enjoy watching all sorts of TV shows, movies, cartoons, and just anything Blockbuster related. Of course, kids nowadays won't be able to experience that stuff thanks to all the crappy streaming services we have now, which don't even come close to hitting the same feeling we had. Anyway, while watching some of the old home videos and seeing several of the famous logos, after so long, so many years, I just suddenly remembered how some of them sent chills down my spine when I was little. So I thought it'd just be fun to share some of my cringy memories and experiences with you all as well. Welcome to the top 10 movie logos that made me uncomfortable. Or, the movie logos that I was scared of as a kid, because of course I'm not terrified of them anymore, but I remember having several bad memories with them. Warning, this may trigger some heavy nostalgia for all of you 90s and 2000s kids. This list is only going to contain the logos that I've seen personally, and the logos that you guys might have gotten scared of when you were kids are probably not going to be on this list. This is just from my point of view. And for the record, you're definitely not going to see B&D on this list. Let's just get this over with.
It's me, Mario and the gang, you probably know my name. And so we start the game, jumping high, ducking low, from the sky to the ocean. How come Peach can't stop being stolen? Need a Firefly or star power now for Bowser. Koopa Troopa, Super Goomba, soon to lose a life. It's me and Peach and Luigi, so you know, stop and don't rock and roll. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Number 10, the THX logo. Is anyone even surprised to see this on the list? Literally everyone I went to was terrified of this logo, and for good reason. Although the reason why this is super far from number 1 is because, believe it or not, I wasn't terrified of this logo as much as other people were. I mean, yeah, I was scared of it, but I got over it real quick. I guess because I wasn't expecting it the first time, but after rewatching it, I always thought it's not that bad. Although I could understand why people were nervous about this one, and I don't blame anyone who still is. It starts off with a black background, and then you hear a noise in the distance, building it up, with the logo appearing, and then... good lord, do you not realize that literal kids watch these movies and how easily they could be startled by stuff like this? This logo showed up on several Disney VHSs and DVDs, but I only saw it twice, which were during A Bug's Life and Cars. But my gosh, can you imagine seeing this logo at a movie theater? That's one experience where I'd rather go on a date with an ugly girl than see that on a giant screen in a dark room. Number 9. Warner Home Video. Warner Brothers, a well-known company that produced so many iconic Cartoon Network shows like Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, Animaniacs, and so on and so forth. But why is this logo on the list, you ask? Well, like I said, sometimes I would have fear of random things that I'm sure nobody else but me were terrified of. And this is not the original Warner Brothers logo, it's something slightly different. Just have a watch. I mean, I get that the logo is supposed to be soothing with a nice little piano melody at the start, but can you imagine seeing this on your screen at like 3 a.m.? Would it be soothing then? And the logo is slightly abrupt as well. Like, I was sitting on my couch getting ready to watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is a spectacular movie by the way, and after seeing nothing but a black screen for a few seconds, this logo appears and decides to send some chills down my spine because of the way it plays out. It's a fine logo looking back, but I guess, to me, soothing was not always the best way to go. Other kids might have enjoyed seeing this logo, but me? Not so much. Number 8. Lyric Studios. Most of you might have seen this logo during VeggieTales, but nope, I saw this logo while watching Barney. Sure, that's a name you haven't heard in a while. As a kid, I had this one Barney VHS called Walk Around the Block with Barney, and I liked it. I don't really remember much from it now, but one thing I do remember when watching this was this logo that showed up out of nowhere and decided to make me both depressed and nervous at the same time. You've got a pond with a little duck swimming in it, so far so good, but then the camera pans up to the night sky and this random hand shows up randomly and taps the water, revealing the logo. Wait, but the water's down there. How's the water both here and up there at the same time? Plus, it didn't help that the music in the logo felt very saddening in a way. I mean, it sounds like the kind of music you'd hear during like a sad sequence of a movie or a show or something. Or when the main characters are reuniting. This logo just didn't really sit right with me whenever it showed up. It's a little sudden, and it just gave me that weird feeling inside. That's like the best way I can possibly describe it. But seriously, whose hand is that? I need to know now! Number 7, the Paramount DVD logo. Oh man, the amount of SpongeBob and other Nickelodeon-related DVDs I owned as a kid. I loved them all. What I didn't love about them was that this Paramount logo showed up frequently during a couple of them, giving me the feeling like I was witnessing a bomb exploding. That's how this logo felt to me back then. So it starts off like how any other Paramount logo starts out, with the stars coming towards you, and you'd think there wouldn't be any sounds or anything else showing up in here, right? Well, I wish you were right. Because about a few seconds later, this giant freaking DVD disc comes out of nowhere and makes a loud-ass bang sound behind the iconic mountain. The sounds at the end of the logo are what really got me. Then it gives you the choice of watching the previews or just heading on over to the main menu of the movie or show that you're watching. And then... dead silence. Yeah, this logo was always very bizarre to me. Not only does it feel very uncanny, but the whole giant-ass DVD thing makes absolutely no sense. Like, why would a disc just show up out of nowhere and go behind a mountain? I swear, it's almost like the makers of these DVDs and logos want me to have nightmares. Ugh. Number 6, Sony Wonder. La 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 la, la 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 la, Elmo's World. Truly one of my favorites growing up, and Sesame Street was great in general. A common thing that would show up when watching a Sesame Street home video from the 90s and 2000s would be the Sony Wonder logo. And this logo is, weird. It starts out so calm and gentle, and then all of a sudden... gosh, where did that come from? Like, the fact that we're in the sky was already a bit unsettling, but did they have to add that loud, abrupt tune at the end? Your target audience is kids, for crying out loud. Thankfully, this logo is short, so you won't have to suffer any longer. But can y'all, like, stop with the loud music? Like, come on. Number 5. Universal Animation Studios. For some reason, I didn't really see this logo a lot back in the day, despite owning a lot of Universal-related movies like Curious George, Despicable Me, and The Land Before Time. But I shouldn't even be complaining about that, because for all the times when I did see this logo, I would regret every choice I've ever made in my life. Now, I don't have beef with the actual Universal logo because I always enjoyed it whenever it came on. But this version of it was the most bizarre one I can possibly think of. It starts out normal with the iconic fanfare, but for some reason the letters kept moving, and then out of complete nowhere, okay, what was that about? The logo just squeezes, spins like crazy, and then transforms itself into Universal Animation Studios. This caught me off guard when I first saw it, if you couldn't tell. Honest to God, I thought an evil spirit just like snuck into my DVD player and tried to mess up the movie, but nope, this is how the logo actually plays out. And the version I saw had Curious George making some cute little chattering sounds at the end. Well, at least George was able to calm me down for a bit, but this logo wouldn't be on the list if it wasn't for whatever this was. Number 4, Macrovision, Quality Protection. Funny enough, this logo showed up right after the Universal one we just talked about. And oh my god, they really decided to have a 2-for-1 special on me with these scary logos. Yeah, this logo is way worse than the Universal one. And to have the answer why, it's best to experience it for yourself. The music literally sounds like my soul is ascending to heaven. Not only that, but it's random as hell, and the bright lights really get on my nerves. And as for the black background, that's an instant nope for me. Black backgrounds will never be okay with me. Like, imagine you're sleeping in your room at night and then this logo decides to haunt you with its bright lights and eerie music. I think we can all agree that this isn't something that we would want to happen to us at all. In fact, I think I did have some nightmares with this logo. Like me being stuck in a black hole and hearing the music from this logo and wanting out so badly. Yeah, I know I'm weird, but what are you gonna do? Number 3, Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. Here we have another logo that features loud, heavy orchestra music, which was not normal to my younger self. What makes this one even more scary than all of the ones we already talked about is that the loud music plays for the whole damn thing, and it seems to never end. Just have a listen and you'll see what I mean. See? It goes on way longer than it has any right to. Every time I decided to watch shows like Dragon Tales and It's a Big, Big World, I would run out of the room and hide behind the door because I always knew this would show up every time. Seriously, why do these logos have to have loud music in them? We get it, you want us to know the companies that were involved with making these movies, but in this case, it's better to tell and not show. Or hear. And there's actually a short version of this logo which is 10 times better just because it's short and doesn't go on for an eternity. That is how you do it. Luckily, I only saw this logo on a couple of the DVDs I owned, so it's not like it was an everyday thing. But the way this logo treats me just has it feel like an everyday thing because of how random it decides to be with its music. Did you know this logo was also the reason why I refused to take any music classes? Number 2, Frappe Productions. Now here's a logo that I don't expect anybody to be familiar with. I only had a total of one DVD that featured this logo, and it was this one, Once Upon a Potty. Don't ask. There's actually 2 corresponding logos that showed up on this DVD, which were Baron's Home Video and this one. But I only decided to use the Frappe Productions logo because this is the one that really took me out. This logo was only a few seconds long, and it was somehow able to send me in complete shock for several seconds. First off, it's really random, and the zoom in effect along with the bubbles at the end gave me quite the fright. I'm honestly shocked that 90s kids were able to get their minds off of scary logos like these. By the way, this logo doesn't really make any sort of sense to me. Like, why is there a cherry being launched into that smoothie, and why are bubbles coming out of said smoothie? This was just weird in every way possible, and I somehow only saw it on one DVD, and it somehow managed to make its way to number 2. But trust me, none of the logos we just discussed got nothing on the final logo that's about to show up now. Prepare yourselves for one of my worst nightmares in the history of worst nightmares. The fact that there's a history for worst nightmares is already scary on its own, but anyway, let's just get on to the last one. Number 1. You know what? I think for this one, I'm just gonna get out of my seat here and hide behind this wall just to let you guys view for yourselves, because I certainly don't have the power for it right now. Alright, roll the logo and prepare yourselves. Is it over? It is? Oh, good. Good. But yeah, that was it. Walt Disney Home Entertainment. Why did this logo scare me? Well, it's pretty obvious. If you understood why I was scared of all of the other logos on this list, then this shouldn't leave you clueless. Everything, literally everything about this logo terrified me to my core. As for where I saw this logo, it was during these little puppet shows I used to watch when I was like 4 or 5 years old called Baby Einstein. If the name doesn't ring a bell, then y'all should know that the creators behind this were the same people that made Little Einsteins. There's a little bit of trivia for you. But yeah, this logo was one of my absolute nightmares, and I still get slight chills from it nowadays. It's too loud, it's abrupt, is random, and has absolutely no reason for it to be as bad as it is. It's of course made by Disney, so it makes sense as to why I hate it so much. All of the reasons why the previous logos we talked about scared me is all here combined into one logo, which is why it's on number 1. There's also 2 other versions of this logo, and one of them is even more scary, while the other is slightly less scary. One has a black background, which makes it all the more scary. And one of them has different music, which makes it not as bad. Oh dear. I remember one time I put on one of my Baby Einstein DVDs, and I had no idea that the volume on my TV was so high up, and I had to sit through the logo, not knowing what to do aside from covering my ears. I don't know why, but back in the 90s and 2000s, Disney was obsessed with making their logos contain nightmare fuel. Most of them were super loud and super abrupt and had loud-ass music. Most of them were super abrupt and had some loud-ass music to go along with them. And I had several Disney DVDs which featured this logo, so that's why it still remains trapped in my head from time to time. I think these logos were hinting us that a few years later Disney would go on to become one of the worst companies ever. If not, it sure feels that way. Phew, and that was it. Those were all the logos that didn't make me feel good as a young Josh. Now, this certainly brought back a memory or two. I will admit that I think it's kind of weird how we got startled by these movie logos, even though they weren't meant to be scary, but they sure felt like they were trying to scare us. I'm surprised logos like 20th Century Fox, Lionsgate, MGM, or Columbia didn't scare me as well. But you know something? It's nice to go back and revisit some of these logos because it just fills me with so much nostalgia and reminds me of all the fun stuff I've experienced as a kid. Like constantly losing the DVD remote and snooping through the DVD menus or watching shows like Blue's Clues, Thomas and Friends, Curious George, Little Einsteins, Backyardigans, etc. It's also nice to know that I wasn't the only one who would get creeped out by little things like these logos. So while I'm not scared of these anymore, I still remember having some bad memories with them, and I guess that's the fun of it. I don't know. Well, guess that's about it. Thank you all so much for tuning into this year's Halloween special, and I certainly enjoyed it, and I sure hope this video brought back some good memories. I know it made some of you nostalgic out there. Be sure to let me know if there were any movie logos that gave you the chills when you were younger. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Is it a bad time to say that I'm actually home alone right now, talking about scary logos from my childhood? Yeah? Oh well. Happy Halloween. It's of course made by Disney, so it makes sense as to why I hate it so much. Can you shut up?!